What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic: upset. Caleb Plant really believes in himself, but can he defeat P.E.D champ Saul El Carne Alvarez? Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life for riches, huh? That life for riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. All right, so you all know the fight is coming up this weekend between Saul El Carne Alvarez and Caleb Sweet Hands Plant. So now this is a highly anticipated fight, and the reason for that basically is that due to the animosity that's been going on between Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez, this fight has become almost, well, not almost, it has become bigger than it actually was when it was first announced. Okay, so everybody's looking forward to this fight at this point due to the acrimonious, uh, acrimonious conversations, between Canelo and Caleb Plant, and we all saw, when in a fit of rage, Canelo Alvarez pushed Caleb Plant during the face off. Okay, and you know, they both had they had a little struggle after Canelo pushed. Caleb Plant tried to well, he did actually slap Canelo, and him and Canelo got into like a big uh ruckus, and they had to be parted by their respective camps. So now the reason why Canelo is so upset at Caleb Plant, because Caleb Plant bringing up the fact that Canelo Alvarez is a PED cheater, okay, performance enhancing drugs. And as we all know, Canelo was suspended for that. Okay, several years ago, a few years ago, not several, a few years ago, he was suspended for 6 months for using PEDs. And recently, his stablemate, Oscar Valdez, was caught using another performance enhancing substance, and there was a big commotion. That was right prior to a fight that he was supposed to have against a kid called Concepcion, and instead of getting suspended like he normally should have been, the WBC did not suspend Alvarez and let him go ahead and fight, and he actually won the fight. So he went into the fight with an advantage, a PED advantage, and he also won that fight, and he barely won. So you can just imagine that if he hadn't had the PEDs, he probably would have lost. Okay, and so this is where Caleb Plant is has been coming down hard on Canelo, because he's saying that there's a problem with that camp over there. Reynoso's camp, Team Reynoso, they're all using PEDs. Canelo got caught and suspended. Now Valdez got caught, but he didn't get suspended. Okay, so it's like there's some shady business going on over there at Team Reynoso, and a lot of people are starting to get wise to it, and so Caleb Plant has been keeping his foot on the pedal when it comes to that, and exposing Canelo for and not just Canelo but the whole team over there for their use of illegal substances, and there's no reason to believe that they're not still using these substances, because there seems to be no sanction against them for the use. I mean, the WBC doesn't seem to take basically Canelo and his team seem to can get away with anything. Basically, that's what it comes down to. They get away with anything, and we all know that Canelo can never lose a fight by a decision because they usually buy up all the judges. Let's allegedly, okay, let's just say allegedly, they allegedly buy up all the judges, okay. So this is what Caleb plans up against. I mean, he's up against it because you got a guy that's using PEDs. You got allegedly judges being bought off. So the only way you know that Caleb plans is going to win against a Canelo, he have to either knock Canelo out or beat him so decisively that there's no way that they can give him the fight. And so this is what and really that's kind of unfair, really, to Caleb Plant and to any other fighter that's fighting against Canelo, that Canelo had such an advantage against all of the fighters that he's fighting. So this is the thing that Caleb Plant is upset about, and he's continually speaking about that. And I don't really blame him for that because it's something that needs to be brought to the attention of the boxing community at large, because people seem to just be taking this whole Canelo thing, just lying down, and not trying to do anything about the fact that this guy and his whole team over there is afloat in a sea of PEDs. Okay, so something that needs to be done about that, and I commend Caleb Plant for bringing that to people's attention. But as we all know, this just speaking the truth is very upsetting to the Canelo camp, and they at this point Caleb Plant is persona non grata, okay, as far as Canelo and Reynoso and the rest of the camp is concerned. So the question what we have to ask ourselves is, does Caleb Plant really have a chance in this fight? And we have to go. We're gonna go with a prediction, and so we're gonna talk about what chance does Caleb Plant actually have in this fight. I mean, can he actually beat Canelo? Okay, now just by looking at the paper, it doesn't seem to me that Caleb Plant has had the quality of fight that it would take, to be able to go up against a guy like Canelo. Okay, I mean, because remember now, Canelo is a very good fighter. We all know this. Okay, but just imagine that he's a very good fighter, and then also there's the question of the PEDs. Okay, so say he's on PEDs and he's a very good fighter. He has an advantage over any fighter that comes in front of him. Okay, so again, this is what Caleb Plant is up against. He's really up against it with a Canelo. So can he beat Canelo, despite all of the advantages that Canelo might have? And we're gonna find out. But one thing I do say, and that is, if Caleb Plant can box as good as he thinks he can, then he should be able to beat Canelo. But if he can't box as good as he thinks he can box, he's gonna get knocked out by Canelo. Okay, and you heard it here first. So it's good that Caleb Plant really believes in himself, and it seems that he's been talking, and he's been really talking strong, and he's almost convincing me almost, and I did say almost. Okay, but I like the fact that he's so convinced that he can win, because that's what it's going to take. You need the confidence, okay? And it doesn't seem to be fake confidence. It seems to be real confidence. He seems like he really believes that he's going to win this fight, and he's going to upset Canelo. And that's half the battle right there, okay? So it's a good sign, okay, from what I can see, that but again, belief and all of that is great, and you need that, but it's going to take more than that to defeat Canelo. It's going to take skills. Skills pays the bills, and the fact is that there is a blueprint for beating Canelo. Okay, and and we saw a little bits of it with the Billy Saunders before he folded up Billy Saunders like a lawn chair and knocked him out. Well, he didn't knock him out; he broke his eye socket. But prior to him doing that, we saw Billy Saunders have little bits of success here and there. But Billy Saunders is not really that type of a boxer who can focus for 12 rounds. I mean, he can do it against. He did it against that guy Lemieux, a while back. But that's the old Billy Saunders, and I think the Billy Saunders that fought Canelo was a Billy Saunders that was, you know, haven't really fought any good quality opponents recently, and hadn't really been in being in the ring as much as he should have. Hadn't been busy enough, okay, to be able to go up against a guy like Canelo, and we all saw what happened. Now, in terms of Plant, that's not really the case, and Plant looks to be a little bit more durable than Billy Saunders, but we don't know what it's going to be like until he get in that ring, until he start feeling those punches that Canelo is throwing his way. Can he, will he be able to absorb the punishment and avoid the punishment? Okay, uh, you know, Mayweather showed us the blueprint and how to beat Canelo. But since that blueprint was published, nobody has been able to, use it effectively and beat Canelo. Because Canelo is getting better as the years goes along, and up to this point, nobody has been able to use that blueprint that Mayweather so generously provided. Okay, so it looks like I don't know if it's the handwriting that Mayweather used, or the people that's following the blueprint just not following it exactly. But the bottom line is that Caleb Plant is going to have to follow that blueprint to the T if he wants to beat Canelo, and we don't know if Caleb Plant can do that. But I will say this: if he can follow that blueprint, okay, and that would mean that he has to box Canelo, okay, which most people are like, a lot of people outbox Canelo until he knocks them out, close to it, close to outboxing him. So like I said, Billy Saunders had a little bits of success here and there, okay. So and don't forget King Khan. When he fought Khan, when Khan moved up to fight him, Khan was outboxing for almost 8 rounds until he got knocked out. So you can box Canelo if you know how to box, because he doesn't have the fastest feet in the business. Okay, so if you know how to move and keep your range and keep range, you should be able to defeat Canelo. But range, keeping away from Canelo and keeping at range is not going to beat Canelo. You have to be able to do that sometimes, but you also have to be able to back Canelo up sometimes. You have to come forward sometimes and stay in the pocket with Canelo, and that's difficult to do. We saw that with Billy Saunders. He tried it, and he got hurt for his, he got hurt, broken eye socket. He probably retired. As far as we know, he probably retired from boxing. He's probably going to have to retire from boxing. Okay, Canelo retired him basically. So again, this is what Caleb Plant is facing. So Caleb Plant is going to have to box, and he's going to have to fight sometimes, and he's going to have to push Canelo back sometimes, and that's going to take a lot of effort. Okay, but Caleb Plant seems to be, he claims he's a boxer, and he seems to be able to box somewhat. But again, to box, against a puncher of the caliber, and Canelo is no slouch himself when it comes to boxing. But I will say that if Canelo can, like I said, follow the blueprint that was laid down by Mayweather, he should have some success against Canelo, and he should be able to beat Canelo. He's bigger than Canelo. He looks pretty strong. I don't know how strong he actually is, if he's as strong as Canelo, okay, but he's big, and he looks strong, and if he can box, like I said, as good as he thinks he can, then he should be able to beat Canelo. But, again, what it's going to come down to, and it always comes down to this, is when the rubber meets the road, okay? What's going to, that's the execution, how you're going to execute in the ring, and that's where the rubber meets the road, and this is where a lot of people fail in the execution part of the whole process, they go in there, and when they face the pressure that Canelo is putting on them, they're not able to execute like they do in the gym, or like they do in their mind, or wherever, like they do when they're training. They just can't seem to do that. So hopefully, Caleb Plant can, maintain his focus throughout the fight and stick to his game plan and, you know, do what needs to be done to beat Canelo. I mean, he does have the physical attributes, okay, to be able to do it. I mean, Mayweather wasn't a big guy, and he did it. He's not as big as Caleb Plant, okay, and Canelo didn't get any taller from the time he fought Mayweather until now. He just got a little thicker and more muscular. Okay, we all know about the P.E.Ds. Okay, so I mean, at the end of the day, Mayweather made Canelo look average. Okay, and a good boxer, can make Canelo look average, but you have to be a good boxer. You can't just say you're a boxer. You have to know how to box. Because Canelo can box himself. He's no slouch either when it comes to boxing, even though he's actually a puncher, but he can box, okay? And, it's going to be a tough fight for Caleb Plant, but, I mean, it's not impossible that he can win, okay? And, again, if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to stick to the game plan. He's going to have to, pull up that blueprint that Floyd Mayweather laid out, open it up and go through it, okay? And he's going to have to, like I said, stick to the game plan and stay focused. And I think he can beat Canelo if he can, actually execute, okay, in the ring. But we don't know if he's going to be able to do that after the first punch lands, because everybody got a plan till the first punch lands, and then all that plans and all that stuff goes out the window, and it's just survival mode. That's what happened with most of the people that fought Canelo Alvarez. Survival. They get into survival mode after a few punches land, because Canelo is a hard punching guy, and he's very good as well, defensively and, offensively. But his weakness is in movement and footwork. If you can confuse him with your footwork. If like what Mayweather did it. Mayweather was able to just come in and out, push him back when he wanted to, punch with him when he wanted to, box when he wanted to. But can Caleb Plant do all of that? So the fact that all of these people are going up against Canelo, and failing, it just goes to show you how great Mayweather really was. Okay, he was one of a kind, and if nobody else beat Canelo, okay, it just makes Mayweather that much greater. Okay, but anyway, the bottom line is that I do think I always give the boxers the benefit of the doubt, and I think in this situation, maybe Caleb Plant has a chance, but he has to go in there and execute. Just like I said about Deontay Wilder, it's one thing to get all that new training, but if you can't execute it, it's a whole different ballgame. Luckily, in this case, Caleb Plant is not getting new training. This is the same Caleb Plant. This is the way he fights. So all he has to do is sharpen his skills and ramp it up to the maximum, okay, and then go in there and see what he can do against Canelo and perform and execute. So, if he can do that, he should be able to beat Canelo, okay? It's not impossible to beat Canelo. Canelo is not invincible, okay? Mayweather proved that, and again, if you follow that Mayweather blueprint, Canelo can be beaten. So let's see if Caleb Plant can do that. Like I said, if he follows the blueprint, he should be able to beat Canelo. Okay, I'm talking about the Mayweather blueprint. Okay, so let's see what happens. With that said, that's all I have. I'm going to leave it there. Okay, this is TBE Boxing saying, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Go to tbeboxing.com. Go to the podcast. I'm on Spotify, Spreaker, Google, all the different podcast outlets. Make sure you like and subscribe to the TBE YouTube channels. Okay, make sure you subscribe, or I'll have to come and visit you. That's all I have. This is TBE Boxing. I'm out.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glaze, you run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.